Let's get some reaction. Tax specialist at Max Pro Africa, Mtimkulu, joins us for more. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, the budget speech delay has clearly sparked an economic debate, really, beyond the talks around tax hikes. What alternative revenue strategies can be explored at this stage?
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for having me. There are a couple of other taxes where we can look at, like your wealth tax, like your carbon taxes, and of course other revenue enhancement strategies which are not tax per se. Things like your private PPP partnerships and your assets, government assets, whether to lease and sell some of the assets that are lying there idling, not being utilized. Those are some of the key elements that government can look at in terms of revenue enhancement strategies.
And how would you measure the impact of spending cuts on essential services and infrastructure projects per se?
I think we can't afford it at this stage because as it is, the infrastructure backlog is still high. There are many areas, rural areas especially, who are struggling for basic needs and services like your water infrastructure, your roads, your sanitation, your electricity. So we can't actually look at investing in infrastructure because there are those that are at the bottom that really need this infrastructure for survival, and taking into cognizance the levels of unemployment in the country as it is.
As you touch on electricity, concerns are mounting over Eskom's ongoing financial struggles and the possibility of tax increases to cover the state-owned power utilities shortfall. What are the dynamics at play there?
There's quite a bit of dynamics with the infrastructure that is aging and lack of maintenance thereof. I think that is what has caused to the instability in terms of the power availability factor, in terms of having an undisrupted available factor of electricity. I think it's mainly a maintenance issue and a governance issue in terms of how Eskom has been managed in the past. We've seen a couple of instances of corruption, of fruitless and wasteful expenditure that exists in the organization itself. If we can iron out on those issues, have proper governance of Eskom, maintain our infrastructure, make sure it's maintained and well running, I think we can still be able to revive our electricity entity.
And with all the opposition to tax hikes, what level of uncertainty do you think that this possibility presents for businesses and consumers alike? What could we be facing here?
It's a very big, there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment. Look, if I was a property developer and I was developing a block of flats or a block of buildings to be able to sell, and with this uncertainty, I'd be sweating because there's a lot of uncertainty. If VAT increases per se, it means the average cost on goods will increase, which then means the buyers themselves will not be in a position to buy. So it's causing a lot of uncertainty, especially from an investor point of view as well. It just gives a lot of uncertainty. If I was an investor from abroad wanting to come and invest in a mine or whatever infrastructure in the country, and this instability exists at the moment, I would really struggle to commit resources at the moment.
There's also the argument that focusing entirely on improving tax collection efficiency is insufficient, and that the emphasis should rather be a broader economic growth driven by well-designed policies and so forth. What do you make of that?
Yes, of course, if we can increase the capacity at SARS themselves to be able to get more a collection in terms of their IT systems, in terms of their human resources, and in terms of their awareness. Remember, SARS's job is not only to collect, but its job is to educate and create awareness. Because some people actually do not have the necessary awareness or knowledge required as to how to be tax compliant.
And that, of course, poses many concerns. What will it take to have the tax education? I mean, where are the loopholes?
From a government perspective, it's to capacitate SARS, give SARS a bit more resources, capacitate them so that they can have a broader and far and further reach. Look, in terms of the rural areas per se, you would hardly find a SARS office. People have to travel for kilometers and kilometers to be able to reach the nearest SARS office or tax offices. So if we can increase the infrastructure in the revenue services themselves and focus more in the education and awareness, I think we can start getting it right.
What are your expectations ahead of Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana's budget speech?
I'm expecting a compromise. Social relief grants is a no-go area. With the high levels of unemployment and just after we've just been through a pandemic, it's a no-go area. People really cannot afford to live without these grants. So I'm looking at a compromise, maybe a slight increase in the VAT, maybe as well as slight increases in the wealth taxes and carbon taxes. I think that's the best amicable solution for now, is for all parties to find a middle ground per se.
A slight increase, how much are we talking?
Anything from 0 to 1% max.
Very well. Thank you so much. Thanks for speaking to us this evening, getting some insight there from tax specialist at Max Prof Africa Mthimkhulu, giving us a sense of some of the expectations ahead of the budget speech.